For the last of our showcase decks here, Shadows over Innistrad Pro Tour Gauntlet, I thought we'd take a look at Brad Nelson's Goggles Ramp deck. This deck showcases some pretty interesting cards. 3 Pyromancer's Goggles is one that I think a lot of people would be interested in taking a look at. It can copy things such as Kozilek's Return, a pretty decent board wipe, Fiery Impulse for a single target, and Fall of the Titans to really get your opponent for a ton of damage all in one turn. And then, some decent fatties, Dragon Lord Atarka, World Breaker, Chandra Flamecaller, and some nice ramp to go along with it. So let's give this deck a run and see how it plays out. Alright, here we are for our match with Brad Nelson's Green-Red Goggles Ramp deck. We are on the draw, and we are going to keep this hand. It seems pretty sweet. We have a Magmatic Insight to combo with Drown Your Temple, Traverse the Ulvenwald to find a land if we want to, Fiery Impulse to kill an early creature. I think I'm going to go ahead and just turn one Magmatic... Since we drew the forest anyways, go ahead and Magmatic Insight away this Drown Your Temple. Alright, Temple in our graveyard. We can bring that back when we have 4 mana. And we drew another land and a Hedron Archive. Not the best, but definitely not the worst. Of course, if you have Delirium for Traverse the Ulvenwald, you can search for a creature or land, as opposed to just a land. Transgress the mind from the opponent, going to take one of my Hedron Archives here. Currently we have land and sorcery in the graveyard for Delirium purposes. For ever able to use this Fire Impulse, we'll have an instant, and Archive does a good job of getting a graveyard. Artifact in the graveyard, rather. Only one legal target here for the opponent. Hedron Archive. But, that's not too bad for us. We can't cast the Archive for a while anyways, and I think we'd rather have this Traverse the Ulvenwald anyways. Opponent writing down our hand or something. Okay, one Hedron Archive gone. Our draw for the turn is a forest. I don't think I cast Traverse the Ulvenwald. I think I just pass here. And then next turn we'll be able to play a land and Drown Your Temple. And then play a turn 4 Hedron Archive and hopefully draw some gas. The Mardu control list, it looks like, from the opponent. Hopefully they don't have another discard effect for my Hedron Archive. That would be very, very sad. Okay. Another land for us. Not exactly what we wanted to draw, but I guess we don't mind just buying time. Again, we can get the Drown Your Temple back next turn. And in fact, if we draw, say, Goggles, we can actually cast that next turn. Alright, value. Another Traverse the Ulvenwald. Let's play our Hedron Archive, leaving up Fiery Impulse. And given our hand, we're probably going to just use the Hedron Archive pretty quickly and draw 2 cards. Opponent's not doing anything, we're not doing anything, but ooh. Opponent now missing lands. And we drew a Tormenting Voice. Alright, so we have sorcery in the graveyard already. We're about to have a land here after I use this Tormenting Voice. Okay, let's Magmatic Insight away this... Actually, you know what I can do? No, this only searches for basic, right? Yeah, never mind. I was going to say I could traverse for a another Drown Your Temple, but that doesn't actually work, so... Let's just Insight away this forest. World Breaker's not a bad one to hit. Only 2 card types in our graveyard currently. I'm probably going to use the Hedron Archive at end of turn. We're really looking for a way to get a instant in our graveyard. In which case these Traverse the Ulvenwalds can go find World Breakers and just completely wreck the opponent. The problem is, if I do use this Hedron Archive, I can't cast the World Breaker unless I guarantee to the land, so I think it's probably safer to not crack it. And then, since our opponent's already stuck on mana sources, let's get rid of their only white source in Caves of Koilos. Yeah, and then we'll just pass this turn. We can get an instant in the graveyard now by using Kozilek's Return for effectively no value, but that's fine. We just want to turn these Traverse the Ulvenwalds into ways that we can tutor up more creatures. Because right now getting more lands isn't that beneficial. Another pass from the opponent. Well, I could just cast out Dragonlord Atarka, I suppose. It is an 8/8 after all. That's probably a better play. Let's attack for 5 here and see if the opponent wants to do anything about this. Looks to be no. Okay. We'll just cast Big Mama. Not dead next turn, but this does threaten 13 points of damage. And so if the opponent wants to use the Battlefield Forge to produce white, well, they can't. Alright, pretty easy game one. I'm not sure what the opponent had 7 cards in hand or something. And did nothing but cast a Transgress the Mind. I'm not too familiar with the Mardu lists, so I'm not actually sure what I should bring in here. I assume like Den Protectors for value is probably a good choice. It looked like these Kozilek's Returns and Fiery Impulses were pretty bad. Let's see, Tireless Track. I always just want to bring in Tireless Tracker. I think that card is excellent. I might just take out all of the Fiery Impulses here. And I wouldn't be surprised if another Chandra is a good call, going a little bit more top-end heavy. In which case, I still need one more card to throw in. I guess they probably run some number of Shambling Vents, so a Fiery Impulse is probably not dead. But otherwise, I'll take out the rest of the returns and the Fiery Impulses and run it like this for game 2. Here we are for game 2 with Brad Nelson's green-red Goggles ramp deck. We're on the draw, and we're going to have to mulligan this one. No lands. Ooh, this one's pretty poor as well. I'm more tempted to keep this hand because we're on the draw, so I get a Scry, and any land will let me Tormenting Voice. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep this. Perfect. All right. So we've got a shot this game. I'm probably going to end up discarding one of our expensive spells. Looks like we might get Duressed. Opponent playing Untapped Foreboding Ruins. All right. Well, hopefully they don't take the Tormenting Voice. But even if they do, it's fine. Like, we have multiple draw steps to find another land for the Nissa's Pilgrimage, since we know we have a forest on top. In fact, opponent might take Pilgrimage. I don't know. I'm not sure they want to take Chandra or Goggles at this point, but well, they definitely could consider it. Okay, so Tormenting Voice was the choice of the opponent. Not entirely surprised there, but again, if we just draw another land within the next few turns, we'll be able to cast out the Pilgrimage and get some of the land drops that we are so desperately looking for. Well, Fall of the Titans is not the card I was looking for, although it does do some good work with Pyromancer's Goggles, should we get to a point in the game where we are capable of doing that. Alright. No white sources yet for the opponent, but a Sin Prodder. Interesting. And no land for us means we are in sad spaces. Alright, so they revealed a Battlefield Forge. I would like to put that into the graveyard, yes. Unfortunately, the Sin Prodder actually is going to be a decent clock. It looks like I might want to bring back the Fiery Tempers for the next game. Should we lose this one? There's a white source for the opponent. And oh, a Thought-Knot Seer. All right. Well, that's pretty bad for us. I guess Pilgrimage might be the take at this point for the opponent. Yep, indeed it is. I guess we're not completely dead. I'm going to discard one of the Tireless Trackers, because if we ever do get to cast Chandra, we can rat the board. Reality Smasher. Ugh. Yeah, I'm going to have to put that in the graveyard. If they have one more land, they're just going to cast that out anyways. Which, in fact, they did have. Alright. Well, we are at 5 life. Looks like this game is going to be over pretty quickly. Goblin Dark Dweller's getting back to rest. Yeah, there's just nothing we can do. We'll concede this game here and go to a game 3. Don't want to bring in any of those. All the burn are too small to deal with the Eldrazi. I guess Dragonlord Atarka is probably a decent choice here. Maybe cut one of the World Breakers instead. But Fiery Impulse are just mediocre, it would feel like. Other than that, I think we just had a bad draw, and the opponent had some ways to get rid of the cards that we were looking for. So let's submit this and go to a game 3. Game 3 of this match between our green-red Goggles Ramp, we're going to play first, versus the Mardu Eldrazi. This hand looks decent enough. Not too amazing, obviously, but decent enough. I'm not going to, again, use the Traverse. We don't really need that land right now. We're looking for like Magmatic Insight or Tormenting Voice to get rid of these Drownyard Temples for good value. Tracker, Pilgrimage, not bad ones. Hey, there's that Insight we were looking for. We're going to go ahead and use that and discard one of these temples. Alright, play out a Forest. And next turn I'm probably just going to cast Pilgrimage to be able to ramp up. Tireless Tracker is nice, but I don't want to just cast it out on turn 3 without getting any value. Alright, Mountain's another good draw for us. That way we don't have to play out the temple. We can hold it for discard fodder. Okay. And we are ramping. Next turn I can go Hedron Archive into Nissa's Pilgrimage, or I could just play Tireless Tracker land. Although I probably want to just ramp out right now, I feel like. Looks like a Sin Prodder from the opponent might be coming out. Yep, that's fine. Game Trail. Not the most exciting thing. I could also go Hedron Archive into Tireless Tracker, but again, I don't want to run it out without getting some amount of value. You know what? It's possible that I just want to Temple next turn, or Temple end of turn instead. It'll ramp me out the same effect as Nissa's Pilgrimage, but I get to keep it for the Tireless Tracker. I am going to put that into their graveyard. I don't want Thought Knot Seer. The opponent doesn't have any colorless sources right now, but they might very well have one in hand. And I think I'd rather put that in the bin. And there's a Cave of Koilos, so looks like that might have been a good choice. Yeah, Sin Prodder does a lot of work. I need to draw one of my fatties pretty badly, which is nice. Or which is another reason why it's nice to get the Drownyard Temple back. So when I do sack the Hedron Archive, we might potentially draw into one of the cards that we're so desperately looking for. Crumble to dust. Well, that's rude. All right, well, we're still okay here. Granted, the opponent does know my hand now. All right. All right, Crumble got rid of all of my game trail, or rather, all of my Cinderglades. Let's get back that Drownyard Temple back. End of turn. And hope to draw like Chandra or Atarka or World Breaker. Or Forest. Alright. Let's cast out the Tracker. Let us then... This is Pilgrimage. With Spell Mastery. Let's investigate. And let's play another land and investigate again. And hopefully between these clues and the Hedron Archive, we'll be able to draw some whammies. I'm actually going to give the opponent the Reality Smasher. I don't want to just take 5 damage. If he wants to spend his turn playing a land and playing Reality Smasher, so be it. I think I need to take that risk and hope to draw a fatty. Now that I think about it, maybe it was correct to keep in the Kozilek's Returns because we have the World Breaker to trigger them from the graveyard, but they just don't seem so good on the surface versus things like, well, Reality Smasher and Thought Knot Seer. All right, I'm going to draw a card here, see if we want to chump with our tireless tracker, save 3 points of damage. I don't think I can afford to take 8 and go to 5, but maybe it's what I have to do. No blocks. And let's hope to draw something good. Okay, Chandra's not a bad start, but Chandra doesn't kill Reality Smasher. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, I cannot use the Hedron Archive and then cast in a Tarka, which is also a problem. I could sack a Clue and hope to draw. That might be my best option here. Drowned Temple, again, not the card we're looking for. Man, Reality Smasher is just bonkers as always. I think I might need the Chandra -2 and hold up Tireless Tracker into Clue. That might be my best bet here. Any removal spell obviously kills me, but I don't think there's much that I can do about that right now. I think we have to hope we get there. Pass turn. Any removal spell is lethal. And it looks like that might be the case. The opponent is casting something pre-combat. Alright, and an ultimate price. That should do the trick. Barring any shenanigans where the opponent makes a huge mistake. We will take 5, and that will be the end of it. Alright, well, didn't draw one of our fatties, which is what we needed to draw. But I think this deck is pretty sweet. A lot of sweet things going on with it. But here we are, in fact, dead. Hopefully you guys liked this look at the green-red Goggles ramp deck. Even though we didn't get a chance to really get the Goggles going, we did ramp.